In the first 2 weeks after Russia's invasion, the EU received more refugees than in 2015 and 2016 put together. What was the EU's immediate response? As Russian aggression continues, more and more people will seek shelter and protection. But how are EU member states preparing to share responsibility? After years of political deadlock, will this provoke a change of heart among EU governments when it comes to asylum and migration policy in the EU? Let's look into this in this new episode of What's Left.
My name is Natalie. I am Ukrainian. I live in Kharkov. Used to live in Kharkov. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning because it's really big sounds outside my window, firework or somewhere, and I understand it's not firework. It was very dangerous for my child, and that's why I take him and my mother, and we came here more than 1 week ago. My sister buy us a ticket to plane, and we came here.
Escaping war. In the last weeks, millions of people did so. Some arrived here in Brussels by car, bus or taxi as they could. Searching for a safe haven, fleeing shelling and Russian artillery, people now have to wait in line.
I'm from Ukraine, from Kyiv, exactly. From Kyiv, then we have lived in the village named Zhashkiv, but it's too scary. We decided to go here.
It was so hard to join here, to get to this country.
Can you tell me what you are doing here?
I'm waiting for registration for me and my two children and for my sister. What I need about this registration is a school for my children because they so confused of all of this situation.
With the Russian aggression on Ukraine, neighboring countries opened their borders. Then, in a historic gesture, the EU granted immediate protection and working rights to Ukrainians, activating the Temporary Protection Directive. In other words, the EU opened its arms.
It's good that we activated the so-called Temporary Protection Directive, so people are allowed to come, the children are allowed to go to school, the adults are allowed to look for work, but you don't need this asylum procedure, at least for 1 year. It can be prolonged, and then we have to see how the situation develops.
Beyond the much needed immediate response of the European Union and the member states, it's at a grassroots level that ordinary citizens throughout Europe opened their hearts and their homes to people fleeing Ukraine. They helped by volunteering, providing a roof over people's heads, making generous donations, sending first aid products. A resident of Poznan in Poland, Mikolaj, stepped up early on.
We decided to buy things that we need, like first of all was clothes, medicines, stuff for soldiers, blankets, sleeping bags, flashlights, stones and stuff like that. We didn't even think about it taking any bulletproof vests or helmets. We just went in and went a bit further than Lviv. When we actually went there, it happened and people were actually thanking me because no one was bringing stuff inside the Ukraine. Everything was stopping on the European Union border. Mostly they were super surprised, plus thanking me, giving me hugs. And then the last round is with people who are bringing into the Poland, usually my hometown, which is Poznan. I'm focusing on getting people job, place to stay, and all the necessary things they need. I decided to help because I thought that helping makes us human beings. It was just a quick thing in my brain with my ADHD, which actually helps with that kind of stuff, so it worked.
This is an unprecedented situation, not seen since the Second World War in Europe. With a humanitarian situation worsening by the hour in Ukraine, most refugees have fled to Hungary, Moldova, Romania and Slovakia, with Poland bearing the brunt of the crisis. Poland and Moldova say they have already reached full capacity. Will there be others in the same scenario? In Belgium, authorities seem to have reacted quickly, but there's still a lot to do.
Demain, si la Belgique va avoir 400-500 000, on va les envoyer en France ou en Espagne. Donc ils vont continuer à tourner et les gens n'obtiennent pas de statut. On leur promet de statut, mais pour avoir le statut, il faut entrer. Mais entre-temps, ils n'ont aucun soutien. Ils n'entrent pas dans les systèmes de soins de santé, les systèmes sociaux, tant qu'ils ne sont pas leurs documents.
The early steps in the integration process are crucial. But while we are still in the midst of a pandemic, are governments prepared to offer the support people need?
Of course, we will need money. Our communities, local levels have to be prepared for schools and other infrastructures. And that's something where member states have to offer things, but also the Commission is ready to use all the funding that has not been used is still there from the army, from the cohesion funds, and also to need some flexibility measures, so to ensure member states get the support they need.
Now we have to go on another step also to make sure that on European level we will have a solidaric and also coherent approach, because we can tackle this much better together than just to leave it to some member state. And all this has to be done in a coordinated way. And we also have to make sure that we don't have now new models of exploitation of these people that come in a desperate situation, not in a very good bargaining position maybe on a labor market, maybe also lacking language skills. This is something we need to address, and this will be the new level of help and support that is needed.
La movilización y los gestos de solidaridad con los refugiados no solo deben de mantenerse mientras dura la guerra, sino que debe conducirnos a un nuevo pacto de migración y asilo que ya no puede esperar más.
Is this a turning point for Europe's asylum policy? How will what's happened in Ukraine affect the debate and the policies in the Pact on Asylum and Migration that the European Parliament is currently working on? The countries today welcoming refugees with open arms, like Hungary, Poland, and the Czech Republic, were the first ones to reject the principles of solidarity when the European Commission presented draft laws on sharing responsibility in 2020. Long before that, some governments steered a hostile anti-migrant narrative for political gains. Under the new laws, the Temporary Protection Directive would be replaced by a crisis regulation. This would make sure the EU is prepared when there are large influxes of refugees and would guarantee no country is left alone to deal with the consequences.
We need to keep true and faithful to our standard, so that we provide humanitarian assistance for Ukrainians fleeing the war, for sure, but also other human beings which are not to be neglected or discriminated against. The way we treat Ukrainians must be extended to other situations which are comparable. People fleeing from conflict zones, from wars. It is the case of Syrians, it is the case of Iraqis, it is the case of Afghans, it is the case of Eritreans. They should be treated likewise. And I only hope that this momentum will be brought precisely to raise awareness as to what solidarity really means in the European ideal.
If you look at Poland, if you look at Romania, what people did there is just fantastic. But we cannot leave these countries alone, because we can already see that mayors say, sorry, we did everything we could, but we need more help.
I really love my country. We have a very, very beautiful town. I live in the center of the city, and now I watch the videos and photos from Kharkiv, and it's incredible what happened. There is, it's ruin, really ruin. I don't know, maybe sometimes later we can again to build our city, but now it's in a very bad way. I'm sorry.
Whenever a large number of refugees flee a country, of course there can be specific situations to address. For example, with so many women and child refugees fleeing Ukraine and many unaccompanied minors, we are urging the EU to respond with a child protection package to give specific support. But our response to refugees must always be based on solidarity, no matter where they're from or the color of their skin. Now, we need to make the most out of that change of heart and make solidarity the rule, not the exception.